welcome to Let It Ride. This is episode 90. I'm El Rubio. This is El Moreno.
Yo.
And this is a place for guys growing their hair. We publish hair tips and tactics, advocate for hair equality, and celebrate men's long manes with hair whips and high fives. Our guest on today's show is a big-time tech guy. He's an email marketing professional with a background in privacy and network operations. With over 20 years in the email industry, he's worked at several leading email service providers. He is editor-in-chief of emailkarma.net, a recognized authority in email deliverability and privacy. And he was most recently named the vice president of deliverability for NetCore Solutions, Inc., an AI-powered personalization and marketing automation platform providing customer communication and engagement platform solutions for more than 5,000 brands worldwide. He's overseen billions of commercial and transactional email deliveries for several of the world's largest marketers and agencies. Most impressive, though, perhaps, is the fact he's navigated for the better part of a 20-year professional tech career with a long flowing mane. He is the tech bro with the righteous flow, Matthew Vernhout. Welcome to Let It Ride. We're glad to have you here.
What up?
Hey, thanks for inviting me. Super excited.
Awesome, man. So gave you the big intro there. A lot of tech,
lot to cover.
A lot of tech language to unpack there. But I know that you've been known to say it's not the size of your list, it's how you use it. What do you mean by that? And maybe you can bring us into the email tech landscape a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so that's it's a bit of a play on some innuendos and stuff that have happened in the history of the world, if you will.
Yes.
But I think with email, a lot of people think the bigger my email list, the more money I make, right? The bigger the reach. It's an old school sort of publishing, broadcast media type opinion, right? Bigger reach, more money. But in the email world, it's really more about how targeted and useful and how, relevant to the consumer the messages are. You can make as much money sending to 10,000 people as you do to sending to 100,000 or 100 million people, based on the targeting and the message you're sending. So it's really not about how big your list is. It's really about how well you use it.
So breaking down to segmenting, and really there's a lot of different tools and tactics, but you were specifically named the VP of deliverability for NetCore. So tell us a little bit about deliverability and why that's important with your email list.
Yeah, so deliverability when it comes to email, right? You need to get the message in front of your consumers, in front of your subscribers. Deliverability is a bit of an art. It's a bit of a science. It's a little bit of black magic even in regards to getting the message there to the consumer so that they can actually action it, right? Following best practices, advocating on behalf of marketers, advocating on behalf of consumers. And working sort of both sides of the equation, helping marketers understand things that they should be doing and helping them get messages delivered, advocating on their behalf with ISPs. And then, I have a pretty strong advocacy arm that I work within as well to advocate on behalf of consumers with, governments and regulators and such around building anti-spam legislation, building privacy legislation and such as well. So I'm working sort of all those different sides.
So we're really talking about a pretty big environment here. We're talking about legislation and overall like kind of aggregate trends, aggregate stuff. How much, how do you get, forgive me. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
How do you get the emails into the...
Exactly. It's just a huge thing. There's a ton of stuff that you have to consider. How many people are you talking about really is what I'm getting at. How big are lists that you're talking about where this is really relevant? And how many people when you're talking about legislation, just give us a sense of the whole scope.
Yeah. Well, and wait, to that point real quick, I think something which to kind of step back just a little bit. I think a lot more people are maybe familiar with like MailChimp or Klaviyo or these type of services, can you just clarify how you're different from those guys just so we have like kind of a baseline understanding of what it is exactly that you guys do?
So in many ways similar, they're an email marketing platform. Our solutions are also email marketing platforms. Where I think ours are different. So we have one platform that is an API driven platform. So basically really good for triggered messaging, transactional stuff. You want to get it out. It's all super important, high quality stuff, password resets, e-shipping notifications, those types of things. We were kind of talking a bit about some of the shipping notifications and stuff before we started recording. So that type of stuff on our API driven platform. And then on our sort of campaigning marketing platform, which is called SmartTech, it does everything. So it does email campaigning, list management, drip campaign. It works with your mobile apps to do push notifications, SMS notifications. It's really sort of a multi, for lack of a better term, it's multi-channel platform all in one place that allows you to really, I'm trying to avoid all the buzzwords, but it's hard. It allows you to have a centralized view of what your clients are doing, how they're interacting with your brand more than just in one channel. We even have some pretty cool personalization engines for, publishers and retailers when it comes to, if you like this product, you'll probably like that product too, which has been super successful for some of our retail brands, partners around the world.
Okay. Now, are you guys really, who's the target market in the businesses you're going after? It sounds like you guys are going like Walmart and Target and like these huge guys.
Enterprise
type level stuff.
It really depends. So on our like API driven platform, we have some really small brands that are personal bloggers that are sending 100 messages a month, 200 messages a month, pretty small, right on through to brands doing, several million messages a day. And then it comes down to sort of what the technology they need. But yeah, we work with every client. Just depends on, where they want to sit in regards to sort of a small self-serve do-it-yourself for, $25 a month kind of thing. Or, if they need that full package web personalization, mobile app development, mobile app usage, all those fun things, kind of the sky's the limit when it gets that big. But I would say our sweet spot is, mid to enterprise brands for at least our smart tech platform. But yeah, we work with all kinds of brands from all size, and we operate in 20 different countries around the world. So we're everywhere.
Nice. Okay. I think that kind of lays down, competition, how you're different a little bit. Now we kind of know what you guys are doing and stuff. Let's swing back over to your question there. What was that again?
Yeah, that kind of answered part of it, but it was just how big of a scope, how big of an email list, for example, for some of these big companies, or I guess deliverability becomes an issue no matter what is the size of your email list. It could be 1,000 or 100,000, but just the scope of some of the companies that you work with in terms of the size of their lists.
Offhand, we have some clients that are sending 100 million messages a month.
Wow.
So,
okay.
They're good size for that. That would sort of be, on the larger side for most email platforms, that 100 million a month. But I would say on average, anywhere from, 5 to 10 million a month is pretty normal for a marketing brand. It's maybe a bit smaller here in Canada. 5 million might be sort of a large size brand in Canada. But in the US, yeah, like I've worked with, my largest client ever had 250 million subscribers, and they would send to them 3 times a week. So, it really runs the gambit of sizing and brands.
Sure. Gives us a pretty good idea the sheer volume of messages just that are out there in general.
There's, I think, 93 billion messages a day that are sort of sent from a commercial point of view alone. Like, forget the hardcore spam stuff, just like pure marketing and transactional messages. It's almost 100 billion a day worldwide, I think.
That is insane. When you that's just email too, right? So that's not even taking into account like social and all the crap that's going on over there. Like, I mean, it's really fascinating how much action there is out there. And I don't think a lot of people think about it like in the pure volume and mass. Like, what would that look like as a physical thing? It'd be this just giant blob.
Yeah. It's a whole black hole just sitting out there.
Yeah. Totally. Wow. So, you know, focus on the deliverability. You guys are kind of going against the people who are probably doing black hat type things and, you know, just the dirty tricks and tactics. Like, what's like the new 2020, like, shady email moves that are going on out there?
Well, I think, the tactics themselves haven't changed. Phishing is still a problem. Brand impersonation is still a problem. Malware is still a problem. But what we did see in 2020, obviously with the COVID-19 pandemic, is we saw that the phishing people changed tactics. They changed tactics to start impersonating governments to say, get your relief funding, get your,
Yeah.
so they're targeting your relief funding. They're targeting, again, shipping notifications is always a big one, especially since everyone had to go online to shop for a period of time. So shipping notifications became a huge target. But we didn't really see like a huge shift in, it was still malware, it was still phishing that was happening. And then, we did see the rise of fake PPE sales, which I suppose was, again, them shifting from, pills, get your little blue pills delivered to get your PPE delivered. So that's the kind of stuff that we saw happening during that shift.
Imagine just sitting there trying to figure out how to scam the system just all day. What kind of emails can we send? How can we rip some people off? It's just, there's people who just sit there dreaming up.
Yeah.
How can we scam? How can we pull a scam out of this?
Yeah. What's the product that's going to be the hottest scam today, basically, is what people are thinking.
Now, how, like, I mean, you're this massive company doing, supplying this service for guys like us who have an e-commerce business who need your service to actually run our business. And then what are these like scammers though? What are they using? How are they pulling this stuff off? And like, is there like whole organizations that are dedicated to this? It can't just be like one guy who, rips 10,000 emails and sends it through his Gmail. Like,
well, some of it is that. Some of it's using compromised accounts. So, we've seen so many data breaches happen over the last, 5 to 7 years, in big volumes, that they're using past cracked credentials to access legitimate accounts. So one of our competitors, not to throw them under the mud, but, in a very similar situation, they've had a ton of compromised accounts recently. And basically those accounts are being used to piggyback on the back of legitimate brands to send phishing and malware and things to their subscribers, because they have a trusted network, they have a trusted infrastructure. And most scams and spams are sent from that type of, illegally accessed infrastructure, if you will. Or, AWS has been a huge problem, because anyone can spin up a server on AWS, send a ton of spam, it gets turned off, they just go and turn another one on. So there are lots of, and AWS isn't alone in that, and I only mentioned them because it just was top of mind, but any place you can go and turn on a server, install an SMTP application, you can fire out spam for a while. Compromised machines that are infected with malware are also very popular. So there's lots of different ways that happens. Even they're trying to get on legitimate platforms like ours. That's actually part of what my team does now, is vet any new client coming on board to make sure we believe that they're legitimate.
Man, the threats are constantly changing. They're always trying new and different stuff, and they're always, to your question, there's a whole spectrum. Some of it is just some guy in his garage hacking on one server, whereas there's all the way the other end is super sophisticated network or organizations trying to find the cracks. But lucky we got you working on our deliverability, global email deliverability. One other thing I wanted to ask about Netcore is big on AI. What is the AI doing, and what is that doing for your clients?
Yeah, so some of the things our AI is doing right now, I mentioned earlier, the recommendation engine. So it's sort of learning what partners well between products on a website or on a news site, what articles would recommend. If you like this article, you'd probably like that. That's sort of a simplified version of it. But it's also deciding things like what time should I deliver this message to a subscriber based on their past activity, their past engagement with that brand. One of the big things, like we're big on privacy. So we're not using like data across clients to do things that are weird, like find out who's opening what and when. We're, it's very specific to a brand that says, I'll use you guys as an example, right? So the Longhairs, I subscribe to your newsletter and I read it every day at 3:00. Right? But you might send at 9 a.m. Or AI might say, well, instead of sending to Matt at 9 a.m., send to him at 2:45 because he's going to read it at 3. So it'll make some of those sort of educated decisions, not about what to send, but when to send.
Sure.
And those are sort of simple examples. It gets much more complicated when it comes to things like, should I send him an SMS message instead of an email because he's more likely to read that?
Goes deep.
Yeah. So where do you see the future of email? It seems like the industry is kind of pushing SMS hard, and email's always been a staple for us. I mean, we've been doing the marketing thing for like 10 years now, but with the Longhairs specifically for 6, and our email list has always been something we cherished. And for anybody listening, I think that's why this whole conversation's really fascinating for us, is because we run an e-commerce business and email is like core to our whole thing. So if you're listening to this, you're like, who the hell is all this email talk about? Like, we're super into this. So I get it if you're maybe not, but I know some of you guys are into marketing and stuff who are listening to this too. So this is probably really fascinating to you.
It's your personal masterclass right now.
Yeah, exactly. So where do you see kind of SMS? It seems like so small compared to the kind of power and strength of email and email's holding power. But do you think this is going to be building over the next 5 years or what?
Well, email is one of those things that everyone's, predicted the death of email for a long time, right? Social was going to kill email and it didn't, because you can't get a Twitter account without an email account, right?
Yeah.
Slack was going to be the next email killer.
Mm-hmm.
And email is still going strong. RSS at one point was going to kill email, and now who uses RSS, right? Nobody. So there are certainly, well, actually I should say people use RSS to feed their emails now.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't think email is going anywhere. SMS, as an individual, I'm not a huge fan of marketing in my SMS. I like it for appointment reminders, shipping notifications, transactional type stuff that's really important. SMS is a lot more invasive to your time because it's in your pocket in your phone. Whereas email is one of those, I'll get to it later.
Right.
Always expecting that text message from your mom, right? Or something like that. The other thing is, we've seen even recently iOS 14 came out, and if you're not in the person's address book and you send them a text message, you fall into this little unknown sender option that you may never look at, right? So it's sort of that spam folder for SMS now on your phone on iOS. So I think it has its uses, and I think it works for some brands and it works in some situations, but my personal opinion, I don't sign up for marketing through SMS. I want my marketing in my email, and it can stay there, and I'll look at it when I'm ready to look at it. Lots of people like it though, but like I said, I'm very selective in how I like my SMS. Send me your credit card payments due. Well, that's an important SMS to get, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
10% off next time you shop with me. I'll probably forget if I'm not in store.
Right.
Second that I had that, whereas an email, I'll just search my inbox and say, oh, I have a coupon for this. I do that all the time when I'm in store. Yeah,
I feel you. I agree about the transactional stuff. I do appreciate it on like the shipping, things, or your packages delivered. Those type of things are nice. But I've been kind of trying to sign up for some just to see how it's going, and I'm signed up to like 4, and I honestly never even look at it. I see that they sent me something. I'm like, I gotta hit stop on that one.
Hit next.
It has a really high engagement rate, but again, I think it's because it's in your pocket and it dings when it comes to your account, and you're like, oh, I should look at this. But if you're not in store or on the website, chances are you're going to forget about it in 10 minutes when you move on to the next thing. And unless you go and action it right away.
Yeah.
Right? The impression was there, but then what?
Totally.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but all of us on this call are over 35. So the younger, who knows? I mean, it could still, I still think email is here to stay, but how much the SMS influence, it's hard to imagine
SMS is
it not.
expensive, and it has, some pretty, like, Can't Spam talks about SMS and how you can do it. The Canadian anti-spam legislation, which I've been involved with for well over a decade now, has some pretty strong regulations around SMS marketing and collection of SMS, capabilities, things like that. So, I think people understand it's got potential to be extremely annoying. And so it was built into those legislations to say, like, here's the guardrails if you're going to play here.
Yeah, totally. I think the one thing they do have in common, though, is how it is like personally kind of your private little channel, right? I mean, there's DMs in Facebook and there's DMs but those have they don't have the same kind of impact or inclusivity, I think is the word to maybe describe it, but like where email and your text totally do. So there's some commonality there, but you can't send the same type of messages through SMS as you can through email and like get the same point across. There's just no way.
Right. Yeah. It's just straight up character limitations.
Yeah, totally.
Well, hey, Matt, let's talk some flow, man. And I have to go back a little bit from my intro where I said the better part of a 20-year professional tech career with a long flowing mane, but just learned that, in fact, it's only been a short period over that professional career. So a little bit different view, but just tell us about the hair. You said you had it long back in high school, growing it out again now for the first time since then. As a guy working for a big company, what has kind of brought you up to this point? What's your hair story?
Yeah. So, I was always sort of that short-haired professional kind of look. And as I've sort of become more senior and sort of more known in the industry, I think, I also started to think like people like me for my ideas. They want to hear from me, not because of the way I look or the way I dress. I was less pressured from the management that I was working with, even at my past companies to, put on that sort of corporate look, if you will. And so it was one of those things, I started about 5-6 years ago. I grew out the beard. And then about probably 2.5 years ago, I was like, what, it's time to grow out the hair, grow it out while I still have it. I'm north of 40 now, and, hopefully I'll have it for a long time, and then I see a lot of people that are, they're starting to lose it up top. So I was like, grow it out while I have it. And, it got, right now it's the shoulder length, earlier, after not getting it cut for 7 months due to the pandemic, it was, 2-3 inches down my back. But this is the length that I've decided that I like it at. And, I've razor sharp or straight hair. It just, it does nothing. It's super straight. It has, a little bit of body to it, but not much. It's going gray, but it's great. I love it long. Winter's cold up here in Canada, having a bit more extra hair on your head. So, yeah. Helps that way.
Little warmth, little bonus warmth there.
What's that?
Little bonus warmth there for those cold days.
Yeah, a little extra on top. I just kind of decided to grow it out, and my wife's cool with it. She likes it, and why not? It was time.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. It's kind of fascinating. We see a lot of guys who are in there kind of, deeper in their careers, older, closer to 40 or plus, who are growing it out for the first time. We hear a lot of guys writing in on that and stuff. It's pretty fascinating what's been happening this year with just hair growth and tied to the global pandemic. Finally, all these dudes have been thinking about growing their hair for 25 years. Have an excuse in the 100-year pandemic. But sounds like, you let a little extra grow. I like the length you got too. That's kind of where mine is right now, maybe a little bit longer, but I dig this length a lot. This is just like real nice length, easy to deal with, looks great, not so much in your way and in your mouth and hooking onto your beard and going in your eyes and everything.
I think the worst part of growing it out was that stage where you couldn't tuck it behind your ears.
Oh, yeah.
It would just hang, and it was like, get a headband out or a bandana out, and it was the only way to control it.
Yeah.
Not much you can do about it.
Hey, speaking of headbands, I see you got a hair tie for guys on your wrist right there. Yeah, it looks like it might be a Jolly Roger or heavy
Jolly
metal
Roger.
collection. Yeah, okay.
I had this one that was on my desk. It's the Headbanger collection.
Yeah, the heavy metals right there.
So, the music's a big part of my my routine.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that. You got a lot of great posters there. You've been to a lot of shows. It sounds like you and your wife are into it. What's the music mean to you, and what do you mean as far as your routine?
I pretty much listen to music full time when I'm not on conference calls. I run. So I started running during the pandemic and lost about 20 pounds. So it's all about music when I'm running. It's got to be high energy music to run. Based on the posters you can see, music genres are, Pearl Jam, so grunge stuff, Pixies, Guns N' Roses, big guitar stuff. Back, I grew up in the 80s, lots of 80s metal as well. But yeah, like my wife and I usually do anywhere from 20 to 25 shows a year. So we're really missing out on music this year. Although we just got tickets to do one of the drive-in concerts that's happening locally. We're going to see Platinum Blonde.
Oh, nice.
Big 80s band from Canada, Platinum Blonde. They're playing with the Spoons. Again, if you've never heard of them,
check them out. Got to check them out.
Yeah,
I've heard of Platinum Blonde for sure.
Same.
I haven't heard of the Spoons, though.
They have a couple hits. You'd probably recognize them on the radio. So,
okay.
We go to all kinds of shows. Like we've seen everything from, Willie Nelson and Dolly Parton to Rob Zombie and Korn, Pearl Jam more than a dozen times. We've seen them in 3 different countries, Pixies a few times, Guns N' Roses a few times. So we kind of the full gambit of music. Just in general, I'm trying to learn to play ukulele. You can see it behind me. I'm not very good, so I will spare your ears, as well as I'm at the same time trying to learn to play guitar. Growing up, I played saxophone, so music's sort of always been around for me right on through. Like my parents, I grew up listening to Motown and the Rolling Stones and the Beatles.
Man, time spent at concerts and live music is time well spent. Just it's always an experience. You always get a chance to be in there and be in the music and share the energy with the performer. It's been a pretty rough year for that, but you must be stoked on doing this drive-in thing. I've seen a few of those, and it looks like it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be. I hope it's going to be good. Like we've really missed music this year. We've tried to do some of these online concerts and online shows. It's not quite the same sitting on your couch than standing in a crowd full of people having beer spilt on you and singing along at the top of your lungs.
Just not the same.
Hitting up the random guy for the joint. Pass it over here. Let me get that.
I've met some of my best friends going to shows. So, you share a passion for music, and, big communities get built around these bands, and it's great.
So just back to the hair in the corporate environment again, you obviously didn't have to worry about it applying for positions or you've kind of made a reputation for yourself in the industry. Have you had any resistance at all since it's gotten past the shoulders?
Just from my mother.
Not at work though.
No, not at work. I think I think having the proven track record and working from home full time, even when I was traveling, nobody really cared. I think being in tech helps. Not being, it's not as abnormal. Guys with long hair and tattoos in tech is pretty standard these days. So I think I just make sure when I'm going to see a client or I'm going to see a regulator that I comb it up, put it in a nice ponytail or something. So it's a little bit more controlled maybe than sort of letting it fly like I am today. But yeah, like you can dress it up nice. Like went to my grandfather's funeral not too long ago, dressed it up nice.
You look great.
Yeah. Right.
You can look perfectly presentable and look sharp and tight and whatever you like. There's plenty of options to do it. There's always something you can do. What would you say for guys who are maybe trying to crack into the job market? We have a lot of guys who either have long hair already or who want to grow their hair out, but they're worried about getting a job. Not exactly the experience that you had, but would you have any advice for someone in that situation?
I think a lot of it is the confidence in yourself and the confidence in what you're talking about, more so than what your hair looks like. Make sure it looks clean, make sure it looks kind of styled is what I would say. um, and if your style is kind of crazy and all over the place, great. But I guess just for me, what I would say is know the environment you're going into and style it accordingly, right? So if you're going into that sort of banking environment and you want to get a job there, pull it back, clean it up, make it look nice. If you're going into be a programmer and a coder, it's probably much less, you do your thing, let it fly, just be presentable. Even looking at, what to wear to a job interview, right? Having worked in tech, I used to have people show up in like really nice suits and I'm interviewing them in jeans and a t-shirt, right? So understand where you're going and dress appropriately and style your hair appropriately. And then just sell them on you, your personality and your skills and your confidence. Because in the end, that's what matters to a job, not what your hair looks like.
I think kind of what you said is a cohesive look. If it's going to be a little more buttoned up, maybe having your hair a little bit more tied up or under control or what have you, but having a cohesive, presentable appearance and having a good idea of the environment that you're going into. Another thing you mentioned earlier is that you started with the beard, growing the beard out first. Was that kind of a entry level, get your foot in the door type of strategy?
Actually, no, I'd never really been able to grow facial hair. I was one of those kind of guys. Never grew facial hair until I got into my mid 30s.
Same.
And then I was like, I'm gonna do it. I keep it nice and trim, short, and just every few days give it a bit of a cleanup. But it was sort of the first step, and it was a bit easier. And then I was lucky enough. I switched jobs about 4 years ago, and I went to work for one of my buddies, and he was like, dude, just do your thing. And I was like, okay. So I started growing the hair too, right? It just was on my list of things to do. And finally I had that management that was just like, you do you, man. Cause I want you for your brain, not the way you, not to say that my outward appearance is evil or bad or anything like that, but more the idea of, we want you to be that voice, but do your thing, be you, just be presentable. Right?
Yeah, totally. One of our latest podcast guests, Trav White, he said something that really kind of stuck with me about, long hair appearance in your situations. Kind of what we're talking about here is it's a amplifier. Your hair is an amplifier on whatever it is you're going to do. Or like, so if you looking grungy, your hair is going to make you look more grungy. If you're looking buttoned up, your hair will amplify kind of maybe your professionalism or something. And at the same time, it's like, if you know what you're talking about and you're still looking, it just amplifies your whole persona in the room,
I'd buy that.
Yeah. Pretty
that's
cool
probably a
concept.
better way to describe it than I did.
Oh, you guys are talking about the same thing. You're on the same page. So one thing we always ask is, everybody has it. Long hair problems. There's issues when you're growing it out. It's a pain in the butt. You kind of mentioned some, not being able to tuck behind the ear. But what now, you had it a little longer. Now you're kind of at this length you like. What have been some of your big things that just drive you nuts? And how do you deal with them?
I think I find hair all over the place now, like all over my desk.
Oh, yeah.
When I shower, it's all over. When you shower, I actually had to buy a drain protector to
Yeah.
I find, like I said, I find it all on my desk. I've had pets though forever, so like finding my own hair in food, finding pet hair in my food, not so much. Yeah. It's not a great experience, but I think for me, it's just when my hair was really short, I never really noticed how much I lost, shed naturally, whatever it happens to be. So I think that's a big one. The other part was, like, for me, having not really had long hair for a long period of time, just general care of it. How often should you wash it? How often should you comb it? How often should you blow dry it? Those types of things were things I kind of had to learn on my own. Once I got introduced to your site, I watched some of your videos on how to take care of long hair. as a dude, because like I can ask my wife how to take care of long hair, but a woman's routine is a lot different than a man's routine. You know, and my hairstylist, you know, he used to have long hair, but it's really curly. So my hair is really straight. So again, it's a different routine for curly hair versus straight hair. And then if you don't know what to ask, right, that's a big challenge too. So, you know, like I said, when I got introduced to your site and started looking around and found your podcast and your videos, like some of those things really helped me. Like, how do you comb your hair with a hairdryer as a dude? That was a big one for me. Right?
I do. And you didn't even know that was a question that you needed to ask in the first place. Most likely.
Like I used to blow dry it every time thinking it was what I needed to do. And then I watched that and it's like, oh, only try like once or twice a week. Okay. Like I can cut back, just let it dry naturally. This is what it does when it dries naturally. It's kind of like straight and whatever.
Works. Nice. Gives you that little bit of volume.
Yeah, definitely. Like those are the things. Like even what comb do you use, right? Moving away from a flat comb that I would use when I had short hair to a brush, to a round brush, those types of things were things that dudes just don't know what to ask, don't know who to ask. And, you know, my wife has curly hair or wavy hair. So again, like different styles of hair require different routines.
Yeah. So with your super straight hair, what's kind of the product front for you? You know, what do you like working with? Kind of shampoo, conditioner? You do any oils or hair serums or anything like that?
I haven't moved into that yet. Right now, I think I'm using Dove Hair Care for Men, the shampoo, and I'm using
El Rubio just cringed over here.
You know, and I'm using like a low oil shampoo or conditioner because I have oily skin. So I've had to, at least my wife helped me pick the right type of conditioner to use. And then like other products, occasionally like a pomade if I need to clean it up just a little bit. I made the mistake and shaved my sideburns a little too high one day, so I've been growing those out. So when they were only this long, I had to like pomade them back. So they don't kind of stick out funny. But from a product point of view, I don't use a ton of products on my hair, just literally shampoo and conditioner for the most part.
We'll get you dialed in with some of our epic cleanse and ideal conditions for sure. Get you a test run on those.
Gotta get them off the Dove.
Yeah, for sure. You can check out the ultimate shampoo and conditioner review for men. It's a dissertation. Effectively, it gets down to Dove at the end, but no worries. Hey, we were all using the stuff until we learned better, until we asked the right question to the right people and figured it out. But fortunately, you do have the hair ties for guys. You're a new user. But you do have it right there on the wrist. It definitely goes with the whole vibe. Are they working out for you? Sounds like you do tie it up occasionally, but your preference is to wear it down. Are you down for the hair ties so far?
Yeah, they're great. You know, I was just using cheap rubber ones before, you know, dollar store rubber black ones that are, you know, typically people find. I think my wife uses them too, but I find they pull. These ones don't pull. That's great. Take them out of your hair. They slide out nice and easy. You know, my hair is I don't have that giant sort of full head of hair either because my hair is so fine. So it's a bit of a small ponytail, but otherwise it works. And yeah, like I said, so far they're great. They slide off easy when you want to take them out. They don't pull the extra hair out. You don't get that kind of stuff.
Beautiful.
Stoked. You kind of had to say that because we put you on the spot, but appreciate the positive, candid review there. Could have just completely put us on blast on the show, but
no,
you heard it from him. He loves them.
Why blast them when I actually do love them? Like I think actually my wife tried to take one or two of them because she was interested in them too. So
nice.
Common problem.
Yeah, totally.
So we have another event, which you're relatively new to the brand. You may or may not have heard about it yet, but in 2019, we had a charity haircutting event. It was called The Great Cut, where we broke the Guinness World Records title for the largest hair donation in history. Thousands went under the shears to benefit children with hair loss. We are doing The Great Cut again in 2024, and we would love to have you there. Would you consider letting it ride for another 4 years and joining us for the Great Cut 2024?
I did see that. I saw the announcement. I think it was, I think you guys put that as an insert even in the package that showed up at my house. So I was pretty pretty interested in that. Yeah, I think actually, I'm going to make plans. I'm going to maybe grow it out a bit longer so that when 2024 comes around and they cut it, it comes maybe back up to this length. Or
Yeah, there you go.
you don't have to grow it as long as you have it right now, down to the chest size, to cut that 8 inches, 10 inches off. I certainly would like to participate. Yeah. I gotta make that commitment, I guess, to grow it that much longer, or in 2024, basically take it all off and start over.
Yeah.
Right. No, you want to get it to where it's longer, to where when you donate it, then it's at that length where you're at now. Of course, that's a long ways to go, and you got a long ways to think about it, but we heard it right here. He's in.
Another on the spot question.
I told my stylist about that too. So he said he would talk to his other men with long hair and let them know, pass it along. So,
dude, heck yeah, let's get them all on board, man. We're gonna need everybody this round. I mean, we needed it last round, but we want to do like 10x of what we did last time. So everybody who can help is gonna be huge.
We had 2 guys come from Toronto.
Yeah, we did. And
2 like mid-20s guys.
Yeah.
Just the 2 of them came. They'd been following the Longhairs for a long time. They were fans, customers, stoked, part of the community. Flew down from Toronto. I think they shaved. I think both. I don't remember if they shaved their heads or if they just cut it to like shoulder length. I want to say they shaved their heads though. At any rate, we have a Toronto contingent, and they no doubt will be coming again in 2024. Hopefully, you'll be able to join them, and your wife also, and anyone else you want to bring along.
All right. Yeah. I'll call all the email Longhairs out and bring them all down if I can.
Just hit that email list. 100
50
billion
million.
emails.
Just send the email.
Hey, it's not going to be that great though, because it's got to be a targeted message to a targeted customer, right message at the right time to the right person.
Exactly.
It's not the size of your list; it's how you use it.
That's right.
Well, thanks for humoring us with all the email talk at the beginning. Took us a little while to dive into the hair, but as usual, we got some great insights and comments. And honestly, it really is great to see a guy in a big company, a corporate type company, who's able to grow his hair out. Probably 10, 20 years ago, it was maybe unheard of. We're really starting to push the envelope. It's really a part of our brand, is advocating for long hair in the professional workplace. It's not about the length of your hair. It's about the quality of your character, who you are, what you bring to the table. But it's been a great chat, man. We really appreciate you joining us on Let It Ride. If any of the guys want to connect with you, where can they link up? We've got your LinkedIn profile, I think Twitter. Just where could the guys catch
your
up
email
with
list?
Subscribe.
Oddly enough, I don't have my own email list. You can hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at email karma. That's my handle there. You can find me on LinkedIn, Matthew Vernhout. You can check out my website, emailkarma.net, if you're looking for email advice. I'm involved in a ton of events, so I'm around doing all kinds of stuff. Usually I'm jet setting all over, but with the pandemic, I've been stuck at home for the last 6 months. I travel all over the world to talk about marketing and best practices and privacy. So I'm all around. If you ever want to connect and I'm in your area.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks again. And we are fired up, dude. We will be seeing you in person in 2024. Cannot wait.
And hopefully linking up in the meantime when we have our next round of big time email questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, feel free. If you got email questions, let me know. If you're ever looking for a new provider.
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
You know it. Well, hey, thanks again, Matthew, for joining. Let It Ride. And until next time.
See ya.